Awesome. Hi, Mindy.
Hi, Milan.
How are you today?
I am good. It's really cold here, in the desert.
I don't really have sympathy or
I
empathy for you
know.
because it's kind of, we've had like 10 to 15 centimeters of snow today.
We don't have that, thankfully.
So, I'm moving in anytime.
Awesome.
So today I asked you to do this interview with you to talk about core and to talk about building a career as a coach. Because I'm sure that a lot of my followers want to take the jump into coaching because that's a cool job. That's a very cool business to have. It's very gratifying, but people don't know where to start. There's four tons of different trainings and certifications on the market, and the profession is not that much recognized because everybody's a coach of everything.
Right.
So, I wrote an ebook so I can be a writing coach.
You could. You could.
So, can you tell us a little bit how you got involved into coaching?
Sure, I would love to because I, like a lot of your following, probably was in a job that was okay. It was actually a really great job. It was a Fortune 100 company in corporate America, and that had a lot of perks that came with it. We had a great salary, had a great income, had great friends, and realistically, the job itself was also not too challenging, but challenging enough, so I shouldn't have had any complaints, except that I didn't feel like it was feeding me. I didn't feel like it was my purpose to do paperwork and clinical trials for the pharmaceutical world. Some people, that's what they love and that's what they're passionate about. It wasn't for me. So I had the opportunity to live overseas for a while. And being able to do that allowed me to step back from my day-to-day routine. And, I know that you may have experienced this too, Milan, is there can be this time in your life where you just kind of get up and then every day is almost the same day because you get up, you go to work, you do the work, you come home, and it's like rinse and repeat. You just keep going and going. And I'm thinking, I don't necessarily want my life to be that because I think that there's something bigger, brighter out there that is in my future potential. So what I did was once I got back to the US, I decided I was going to quit my job, which is very scary because there you go from this consistent income with your paycheck to how am I going to make money? How am I going to potentially, if you have a family, how am I going to support my family? Or how am I going to continue my lifestyle if you have a home and a car and you buy things like most of us do? How am I going to do that? How is it going to work? So I quickly made a lot of not so great decisions now looking back at it. But realistically, at that time, I didn't know any better. I had never run a business by myself. And I thought that I knew about business because I had worked at a business. But I will be the first one to say now that a Fortune 100 business is nothing like a small business. It's not even the same atmosphere. It's completely different. So I really didn't know what I was doing. But here's what I did know. I knew that I wanted to help people. I wanted to make this world a better place. I wanted to help people see their own potential. I felt really strong about my potential and I wanted to help other people kind of dig into that and develop that in themselves. So that's what I was going on. And Milan, you know my story. It didn't turn out very well at first because what happened was I decided to move across the country and start my career, this dream career in Portland, Oregon on the West Coast. And I thought, hey, it's going to be great because I'm so passionate. I'm so excited about doing this. And I felt like I was a pretty good coach too. So I thought this will be great. Well, as you know, it wasn't so great because after a few years, I didn't understand the power of marketing, the power of just realistically showcasing the results that I could get with my clients to other people to continue getting new clients. So
Mhm.
very, very quickly, I ran out of money and had gone through all of my savings and then continued to make some weird decisions like go into my 401k, which they say you are not ever supposed to do, but I spent that money. I piled up debt on credit cards. I was also in grad school, so there was that. I had student loans to deal with on top of everything else. And as, fast forward to the end of that part of the story, I ended up living out of my office because my home in Michigan had been foreclosed. I was evicted from my apartment in Portland and pretty much had tried to sell off everything that I owned except my car to just try and eat, to just have food for the day, which that was not a great position to be coaching other people from, like, hey, you can do it, because I was not doing very well myself. That being said, the story takes a big jump over the next few years. Now I started in 2007, so we're talking about over 10 years ago now. And after that, I realized, okay, if this is what I feel like I'm really supposed to be doing here on this planet, and it was like, that's really what I felt like, this is my purpose, then I need to figure out the business side of things. I can't just rely on being a great coach. So that kind of started this whole new journey about business and marketing and sales and learning all these things that I didn't even think I would ever need to then develop my business into what turned into then a 6-figure business, which that at that point, when I reached that level, I was like, I've made it. Like, I'm done. To me, that was so exciting, because having come from the complete opposite of not having any money to then having what a lot of people would consider, a good income, it was awesome. So it's been a wild journey, but I'm super grateful for all the parts of it.
And what I find is that very often people who come from big Fortune 100 companies, when you work for big pharma, you don't have to do sales.
No.
You just have to do the job.
I didn't have to do anything. Yeah, I mean, especially where I worked, it wasn't nothing to do with the sales at all in pharma. We were in clinical trials, so it was so scientific and well before any of the marketing or sales. This is before FDA has approved anything. So it's all testing and very scientific, like I said. So no, there was no sales. I didn't know the first thing about sales. And actually, I hated sales people. I thought they were slick and sleazy, and like, I don't want to be that. Well, as it turns out, I was just kind of having this stereotype of salespeople that were all out to get you or out to, swindle you. When the reality is, sure, there are some like that, but probably the vast majority are not like that at all. They're actually like wanting to help and say, hey, I have something that may help you. So it was a mindset thing for me that I really needed to shift.
Good. And so a few years have gone by. So you have some very cool projects. And one of the things I really like, because I took it last year, is the core coaching program on how to, because can you tell us a little bit about your expertise? Because you have a little bit more education than a GED. So
a little bit,
let's talk about that.
I have a little bit more, hence all these student loans that I have. So I did end up going all the way through school, through getting a PhD. And the reason I did that is because I'm just a lifelong learner. I'm a huge nerd, total geek, all those words that you can talk about people that, like books more than other people. That's me. So I just kept signing up for different programs and essentially following what I liked to do. My master's degree is in creative writing. I got a different master's degree in philosophy, and then I went on to the PhD. And what I ended up writing about for my dissertation was heart intelligence. And that's a whole really fascinating field right now based in neurocardiology. And essentially it's to bring that down to normal speak is, the power of the brain, but now in the heart. So it's really interesting, both scientifically, spiritually, biologically, physiologically. There's all kinds of really cool stuff going on in that field. But what I like to do is to say, hey, let's utilize that in the coaching, because it can have such powerful and transformative results. And really, the whole reason that CORE started was because I had these retreats that I do every year called Heart Path. And we talk a lot about following your heart and figuring out what you're here to do. What is your purpose? And over the years, people would come up to me and they'd say, well, I think I'd like to be a coach, or I'd like to do kind of what you do. You know, where do I start? What do I do? And I didn't have a really solid place to send them. I know there are hundreds or thousands of coach training programs out there, but the ones that I was familiar with, there were some good parts about them, but I was like, I just didn't feel right about saying, this is the best thing, go do this. So after hearing this from a few different people over the years, I thought, why not just make that? Why not create that? And so essentially what CORE is I think of it like a gift to my former self. Because if I had, back in 2007, CORE Coaching Academy, I could have really, really had a lot easier way of going, because I would have had somebody tell me, you know what, Mindy, that's not the best idea. Why don't you look at this? Or why don't you focus on that? Or, you know what, marketing is actually your best friend. You don't have to be afraid of it and scared of it. So that's how I look at it. I wish I had that program back then, and I don't want anybody who really is just starting out with the best intentions. Like I said earlier, they want to help people. They want to see this world be a more positive, amazing place. And then they get so sidetracked with the hard struggle of the business and how to set it up and what to do. And back then I knew nothing about anything like technology. I didn't know a thing about websites. I didn't know how to run a webinar. I didn't know how to write a blog post. I didn't know how to do anything like that. And now I can just give to my students, hey, here's how to do all this stuff, because I had to learn it the hard way. I had to learn it myself, and then trial and error, more error along the way. And then now I can say, here's the best way to do it, or the easiest, or the fastest way to go. And by having that mentorship, it really can help people cruise right along faster, at least than I did.
And one thing that I think differentiates CORE from any other program is the last month, where we stop talking and we get into action.
Get to work. Thank you for bringing that up, because that was something that was really important to me. There are so many programs that's like, here you go, here's all the stuff, and then it's over. And then some people will do something with that stuff. Some people will say, hey, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm picking it up and I'm just off. But I would say that might be the minority. What normally happens is that people are like, oh my gosh, I just learned all this stuff. Now where do I start? What do I do? And it's overwhelming. So what I did was I actually built into the program an implementation month to get stuff done. So I set it up almost as a little bit of a challenge, like, hey, what is it that you want to create? Do you want to build your website? Do you want to work on getting your first 1, 2, 5 clients, whatever? Or do you want to set up an email newsletter and get that what is it that you want to build and create during that implementation month? Because you still have me as a guiding voice to say, okay, great job, or let's do it this, other way, or have you thought about this? And then the end of the program is a live in-person event, which you have attended. Yeah. So it's more learning and training, but it's also like, hey, let's look at what we just did. It's a celebration.
Mm-hmm. And it is still, for me, it was still a major kick in the ass. Pardon me.
Good.
Because we're all coaches. You can't hide. We're all professionals. We all have our different area of expertise. We all have our own way to do things. But in the end, you cannot hide, and you cannot try to bullshit your way out of something. The discussions that we have at CORE Live are honest, and you can't hide. You just have to deal with the things that we discuss.
So yeah, it was an awesome couple of days. I was just thinking back to the group when you were there, and it's great. There's a lot of really tough people, and I love that, because that's how I am. And it's like, let's go, let's just do this, and here's what our goals are, and here's how we're going to do it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And to be able to get in action with the safety net of still having you or the group not so far away for support it's really, really cool because I saw some people in the group struggling and they're like, oh, but what are people going to say about me? Just do it.
Yes, exactly.
We don't care.
Exactly. That's another great piece of this whole puzzle. And this is why I, do these live. It's not just, hey, you can go take a random class online anytime. No, it's we get together throughout those months of the program to see how they're doing and to see, what challenges are coming up. What questions do you have? Excuse me. So it's so great that the group can then begin to help answer each other's questions, or, hey, you know what, I tried this. Has anyone else tried this? What were your results? How did it work for you? And there's great, tribe mentality to say, we're all in this together. It's not like, hey, if I get a client, that's taking one away from you. No way. It's if I get a client, yay, that's awesome.
And we're all across America. So
all across America. I've even had people, I've had people from as far away as Australia, I think was the farthest. But a few people in the UK have also come through the program. And actually one guy from France came all the way to Core Live. So he actually flew in just for the program.
And there was one, I got my coaching, my free coaching when you offer that during the implementation month. I got my coaching. His name was Robert. I believe he was from UAE. He was in Dubai.
Yep. He's a British guy. So yeah, but he was living over in the United Arab Emirates. That's right. I forgot about that.
So people from all around the world.
All around.
And if someone is on the fence, what do you have to tell them?
I would tell them to think about what it is on the other side that they might be wanting. Because if there's this sense of, you know what, I would maybe like to check this out, or maybe like to become a coach. Well, what's on the other side of that is really the aspect that you want? Do you want more freedom? Maybe you're in a job that you don't like and you would rather have something that you do like. I think that's a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Maybe, and this was the case for me. When I worked in corporate America, I was at this certain level, and they said, okay, the salary range for that level is such and such. And there was it didn't matter what I did. I couldn't go beyond that level until I jumped levels. So I kind of like having the freedom of, well, how much money do you want to make? And then you're in charge of that. You're in control of that. There's also location. You don't have to be a certain place to coach. You can coach from anywhere, basically, especially if there's an internet connection. So that's helpful. And, with all these different types of freedoms, time is another one. You can create your own schedule. You don't have to come in when the boss says you need to come in. You start your day when you want to start your day. So with all those, does that sound good? And yes, there might be fear right now. Yes, there might be uncertainty. Yes, there might be discomfort in thinking, oh my gosh, I could never leave my job, or I could never do that, or who would hire me? Is that freedom on the other side of that worth it to you? And I think for a lot of people, it might be. And for that, I would say just go for it. There's literally no risk in this program. I even offer a completely 100% money back guarantee, because if you get into the program in January, and then by the end of January, you'll have been 4 weeks into the program. And if you say, you know what, this is not for me, it's, it's not my cup of tea, this isn't what I wanted. Okay, no problem. I will send you 100% of your money back, because realistically, if it's not for you, I don't want you in my program. I'm not out to just change the masses into coaches. I want people who are committed not only to their own development, but to, this type of work, very heart-based, grounded, focused, realistic coaching. I don't want to live in la la land like I think some coaches unfortunately do. Excuse me. So, if it's not a good fit, I'm totally okay with that. So like I said, zero risk.
Awesome. And there's one thing that I really like about you is that you still, yes, you work hard, you play hard, and you still have a life, and your business just keeps on growing. So not because you quit corporate America, you're going to do 90 hours a week that we glorify so much these days.
Yeah, that doesn't interest me at all. I mean, both Sean, my husband, and I, we focus on things like self-care. That's a huge part of our normal day-to-day life. We make sure to get in time for relaxation and reading and massage and time just to be away from work as well. I have another program to thank for that. Strategic Coach was instrumental. It's a program for entrepreneurs, and they talk about free days and how important free days are to the work. So it's really, really crucial to have a balanced life. And for us, honestly, if we have any issue, it's probably we spend more time relaxing than we should. We could probably grow our business a lot faster, but it's just not as important to us as having just a full, really great overall well-being.
And I believe that's key to business, to success in business as well, because I remember my days in corporate America in a Fortune 500 as well. And I would go back home during lunchtime. I was fortunate enough to live very close by to work, and I would cry because I did not want to go back.
Yeah, and nobody wants to live like that.
And now I work, still, yes, I teach with the school. I still teach, it's awesome. But other than that, I choose my clients and I even choose my students. Yes, it's a government program and I have to accept everybody, but still I make it very clear that you want to come and work, you want to come and learn with me, here is what I expect. It's going to be tough, but we're going to have fun. And if you're not willing to put in the work, let me suggest you some other partners who do the exact same thing as me.
Yeah.
Not as cool as, but same thing.
So clearly they're going to choose who's more cool.
Of course. So, and the dates for CORE, if you want to summarize that. So we're January 3rd. I'm going to send that video to everybody. And I'm going to blast my social media with that because I'm the master of social media blasting.
Yes, yes, you are. Yes, you are. So yeah, let's talk about that. CORE starts next week. It's very soon. The first day is Tuesday. That's January 8th, which means that if you are at all interested, you have to sign up by midnight the day before. So Monday the 7th, midnight Pacific time. So that will be the cutoff for registration, and then we'll get rocking the next day on Tuesday.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you very, very much for your time, Mindy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always great to catch up with you.
Absolutely.